Hello, welcome to our Ability Skills Knowledge Fraternity. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining and stay with us till the end. Once again, I'm Arshia Kainat, host and CEO and Management Controller in Ability Skills Knowledge Fraternity. Firstly, I want to say about today's free webinar. Today's webinar is workable for those who lose their confidence, did not trust, and have suspect on oneself. I hope today's webinar will be effective who are struggling with own personality. Every day some new participants join with us, so I have to give little concept about ability, skills, knowledge fraternity. What is Ask Fraternity? Ask Fraternity stands for Ability, Skills, Knowledge Fraternity. It is an online platform which aims to enhance the skills of the youth living across the world. It promotes the talent of the humans and also provide earning platform. Ask Fraternity offers free international webinars, workshops, and paid short courses. Its origin is in Pakistan, founded by Dr. Aksar Ubani and Mr. Zain Khan as a vice president. Our collaborative partners are Go Study Global International Education from China and Right Vian Training Academy Center UK. Motto of Ask Fraternity: creating new leaders by nurturing and promoting the talent of common people is the main purpose of Ask Fraternity. Its slogan is sometimes choosing a different path from others doesn't mean isolating yourself, it means that you know who are you. I am warmly welcoming in you all. Today we are representing the webinar on influence of trees to biodiversity with speaker Marjohn V. Anislag. So let's start our program. Please give a warm welcome to Marjohn V. Anislag. Hello sir.
Hello, madam. Thank you so much for your very nice introduction. My
My
voice
pleasure.
is clear. My voice is clear.
Yes sir, it's clear.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening to one and all, most especially to Dr. Aksaravani, President of Ability Skills Knowledge Foundation, and Mr. Sain Khan, Vice President of Ability Skills Knowledge Foundation for spending the effort to invite me to be your guest speaker for this international webinar with the topic Influence of Trees to Biodiversity. Moreover, before I will have to start my discussion on the topic, influence of trees on biodiversity, let me inform you that I am Mr. Marjohn V. Anislag, Assistant Professor from Surigao del Norte State University of the Philippines. And I am proud a member of a religion, Iglesia ni Cristo or Church of Christ. Further, the significance of why we need to study the influence of stress of trees on biodiversity is for us to gain more knowledge about the importance of trees to our daily living. The contents of this presentation are the introduction, which is highlighting the problems of biodiversity, the objective, the influence of trees on biodiversity, the conclusion, and recommendations. Biodiversity is a term used to describe the enormous variety of life on Earth. It can be used more specifically to refer to all the species in one region or ecosystem. Biodiversity refers to every living thing, including plants, bacteria, animals, and humans. However, in this present day, there are more reports about biodiversity loss, not only here in my country, the Philippines, but the whole world due to land use change, pollution, poor water quality, chemical and waste contamination, climate change, and other causes of ecosystem degradation all contribute to biodiversity loss and can pose considerable threats to human health. Thus, considering the above-mentioned problems, the objective of this webinar is to provide awareness about the influence of trees on biodiversity. The tree is a perennial plant with an elongated stem or trunk, usually supporting the branches and leaves. Moreover, the tree's influence on biodiversity are including the wildlife corridor, shelter, and food sources for a range of species like birds, animals, and insects. Also, trees can also influence native tree species to survive, providing future seed sources and protection for all the flora and fauna species. Trees can serve as wildlife corridor. They can help to reconnect the landscape by creating travel corridors for wildlife. Many species of wildlife need a minimum amount of a particular habitat type. If it gets to be too small, they won't use it. Tree vegetation can be used to connect several small isolated areas within a landscape. Moreover, trees connect wildlife populations separated by human activities or structures, such as roads, development, or logging. This allows an exchange of individuals between populations, which may help prevent the negative effects of inbreeding and reduce genetic diversity via genetic drift that often occur within isolated populations. Trees help facilitate the re-establishment of different living populations that have been reduced or eliminated due to random events such as fires or disease. At this point, I am encouraging you all to do planting more trees as a green corridor for our endemic plants and animals. The significance of implementing green corridors is to increase biodiversity because when areas of land are broken up by human interference like mining and road construction, population numbers and of animals and plant species become endangered. Trees can contribute to three factors that stabilize a population. These factors are colonization, migration, and interbreeding. In colonization factors, the animals are able to move and occupy new areas when food sources or other natural resources are lacking in their core habitat. For the migration factor, the species that relocate seasonally can do more safely and effectively when it does not interference with human development barriers. Lastly, for the neighboring factor, the animals can find new mates in neighboring regions, which leads to increased genetic diversity. In this slide, I just want to inform you that trees provided shelter and food to a range of species like birds, four-legged animals, insects, and fungi. It is also natural that wherever trees are planted, wildlife and other plants are sure to follow. Trees provide shelter and food for a variety of animals, particularly squirrels and beavers. Enhancing, enhancing growth diversity, trees create an environment that allows the growth of plants that otherwise would not be there. Flowers, fruits, leaves, buds, and woody parts of trees are used by many different species. Bacteria and fungi contained in the three parts cause decay, which makes nesting easier for some birds and increases soil fertility and structure for farrowing by other land animals. Trees also provide shade, reduce water and air temperatures, and contribute to the overall health of aquatic ecosystems by providing habitat, shelter, and food for aquatic species such as turtles, otters, beavers, and fishes. In this slide, I am informing you that conducting an exotic or introduced tree plantation in degraded areas can contribute to the survival of native tree species because most of our endemic or native tree species need microclimate and shade from big trees. Moreover, planting exotic or introduced tree species can protect the demand of native tree species is because most of the exotic or introduced tree species are fast growing over the native or endemic tree species. Thus, most of the planted exotic or introduced tree plantation can be the source of increasingly demand of timber supply. And in this scenario, we can say that the more introduced forest plantations be developed, the more native forest might be saved. Forest plantation is also called seed islands or the source of viable seeds for tree plantation projects in most open areas. The point of this is that the more we have tree plantations, the more that we can have the mother trees producing the seeds that we can germinate in the nursery and produce seedlings for every tree plantation project. Trees support the lives of many plants and animals. The trees are used for food, shelter, and sites for reproduction. Many animals also use trees for resting, nesting, and for places from which to hunt or capture prey. When the trees mature, animals are able to enjoy delicious fruits and foraging opportunities. During times of extreme heat or precipitation, animals can seek shade and shelter under the trees without being away from their food source. Young trees can provide food for animals as well, but need to be managed to ensure a percentage of new trees can grow and are not fully consumed by wildlife. The standing dead and dying trees, called snags, are important for wildlife in both natural and landscape settings, occurring as a result of disease, lightning, fire, animal damage, too much shade, drought, root competition, as well as old age. Birds, small mammals, and other wildlife use snags for nests, nurseries, storage areas, foraging, roosting, and perching. Live trees with snag-like features such as hollow trunks, excavated cavities, and dead branches can provide similar wildlife value. Snags occurring along streams and shorelines eventually may fall into the water, adding important woody debris to aquatic habitats. Dead branches are often used as perches. Snags that lack limes are often more decayed and may have more and larger cavities for shelter and nesting. Snags enhance local natural areas by attracting wildlife species that may not otherwise be found there. On the other side, decaying logs retain moisture and nutrients that aid in new plant growth and support wildlife, such as soil organisms, which are earthworms, beetles, and other insects. Young trees may sprout from a single downed line known as a nurse log. The softwood tissue of a nurse log offers an ideal substrate for many young trees during their initial growth and development. Logs also store energy and fix nitrogen. Furthermore, deadwood serves as a ground cover, lessening soil erosion and preventing animals such as deer from overbruising plant seedlings. Wildlife trees become softer as fungi, bacteria, and wood boring insects eat and break down the wood. Lastly, many different types of wildlife depend on trees for food, water, cover, or places to raise their young. The conclusion of this webinar is that trees are vital as the biggest plants on the planet. They give us oxygen, store carbon, stabilize the soil, and give life to the world's wildlife. They also provide us with the materials for tools and shelter. Moreover, trees boast wildlife and they are hosting complex microhabitats. When young, they offer habitation and food to amazing communities of birds, insects, lichen, and fungi. When ancient, the trunks also provide the hollow cover needed by species such as bats, wood-boring beetles, tony owls, and woodpeckers. Lastly, this webinar is encourage the youth, academicians, and environmental scientists and lawmaking bodies per country to make a sustainable action plan for the protection and management of our introduced and native forests for the sake and safety of our wildlife. Thank you so much for listening, and this time I am open to answering your questions. Okay, question from Ma'am Risha Kahar. Her question, what are the examples of endangered species? Okay, madam, talking about endangered species, this refers to the three species that are less in number or population in a particular area. So these I do not know the endangered species in your country, but per country has different endangered tree species. Here in our country, Philippines, one of the endangered species in Hinatuan Island where the mining company is operating is the is the Terminalia catapa, the Syzygium, and the Santos timum. So these species are addressing for conservation of the for the use and for the usage of the future generation. So, and one of the reasons why we have three species that are now endangered, it is because of over usage or exploitation by the local communities. That's all, and thank you. Okay, second question from Madam Nurhaina. What can a small people do lessen the damage of environment if mass production of pollution contributed by big and successful companies by converting the forest into buildings? Okay, Madam, thank you so much for for your very nice question. For me, the contribution of a sim of a pe- of a person like the student and is in order to lessen the damage of our environment brought by the by the buildings or the erected buildings or the minings or the factories is that we have to make a research study as serve as our voice to inform the local communities and the people of the world the effects of these activities. Say for example, here in our country, we have more degraded environment because of mining, because of surface mining. So we know that on the other side or on the other effect of mining to our economy is that it loses or it 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 degrades our environment. So as as envir- in order that the people working in the mining companies that that are responsible for restoration, so I am making a research study addressing how to conserve the degraded soil. So my research paper highlighting the activities that the mining companies need to comply. So for example, one of those activities that they need to comply is rehabilitation. They need to plant both endemic and exotic species the for the rehabilitation of the degraded species. So as a young people, as a youth like you, your voice, your papers can contribute to lessen the damage of our environment. Thank you, Madam. Okay, from Mr. Ali, what factors influence plant diversity? Okay, as I mentioned a while ago, that there are there are three factors that can influence our plant diversity. So, but among them, and the most common factors that influence plant diversity is our discipline and cooperation with our government lawmaking bodies. As a concerned citizen, we need to tap our government lawmaking bodies and inform them what are our proposals in order to rehabilitate our degraded landscape where the biodiversity are affected. So, but one of the best actions we need to do is to plant both endemic and exotic tree species, because once we are planting this type of tree species, it welcomes or it welcoming the the migration of the wildlife from different places. So if we are going to plant endemic and exotic tree species, it provides the food and shelter of wildlife, of particularly our biodiversity. Thank you, sir. Okay, another question. What factors might influence the biodiversity of tree species in the area? Okay, so I think this question is similar to the previous question that I've been answering. So then, the third question, how do trees protect the biodiversity? Okay, trees can protect the biodiversity through the impact of climate change, because if a particular place has abundant tree plantation, trees can protect the biodiversity, the 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 heat, the global warming, the floods, the landslides, and other climate change impacts. So because, say for example, we know that one of the climate change effects is that flooding. So flooding is now happening in our place because we experience severe rainfall this time. So there are more places experience flooding. So if a particular place promoting the plantation of tree species, so we we sure we can say that trees help to protect the biodiversity. It is because the roots of the tree species able to absorb volume of water. Then, and in on the other side, say for example, the drought problems. So the biodiversity can also be protected by the tree species, because the tree plantation able to control the heat from the environment, so it maintains the coolness that is favorable to the underground biodiversity. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, from Dr. Sana, what are the rules of trees in ecosystem? So, talking about the rules of trees in the ecosystem, trees have more or multi-rules in our ecosystem, because as I discussed a while ago, trees provide food and habitat to wildlife, including the the people. So provides medicine, maintains soil fertility, quality and quantity water supply, and also tree species provide recreational activities to the to the people. But as of the ecosystem, it sustained the the habitat and the food of the wildlife. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, from Sir Nor, what is the impact of forest and growth of diversity? Um, the impact of forest and growth of biodiversity for animals, once the forest area is contained with the tree plantations able to produce foods. So the more that the living animals or in a particular forest become healthy, stronger, and fertile. So the more that they ate nutritious foods that are providing by the tree species, the more that they can produce new ones, or they can produce new individuals, because the more that the animals are healthy, the more that they are fertile. But on the side of the plants, the more that the tree species are abundant in a particular area, the more that the soil surfaces are fertile, that able to germinate the seeds of the tree species and other plant species in the area. So tree species have big impact on forest growth diversity. Thank you, sir. Okay, question from Aliana. How do forests contribute to biodiversity? I think the question of Miss Aliana is the same to the previous question, but I'll repeat. Forests have big contribution to biodiversity. It is because it provides food and shelter to the animals, and it maintains soil fertility for the growth of the plant species. Likewise, it protects the impacts of the climate change that inhibit the growth and survival of the biodiversity. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, question from Yasen Kastar. Why this species list in environment? Okay, I think the answer for this, madam, is that before before the in before we know that our places that we are living today are full of the different tree species, but because of the progress of people's achievement, they they are proposing and investing businesses like mining, hotels, restaurants, and buildings. So this is the reason why the population or the diversity of our tree species are now lessened. So this time in our generation, we cannot control the projects of our government and our businessmen, but our contribution in order to bring back the abundancy of the tree species that are very helpful to protect the negative impacts of the climate change is that we encourage ourselves to plant more trees and to influence the youth and our countrymen to participate regenerating or rehabilitating our environment through planting both endemic and exotic tree species to bring back the growth of our biodiversity in our environment. Thank you. Okay, question from Mr. Aru. What tree supports the most biodiversity? Okay, sir. Honestly, all the tree species able to support the most biodiversity. But my recommendation better to plant those tree species able to produce flowers and fruits because it invites the migration of the biodiversity from other places to the area you are about to restore. Thank you. Okay, question from Mr. Khalid. How we can change our environment or climate change? Okay, sir. We can change we can fight climate change, the negative impact of climate change to our environment through planting endemic and exotic tree species because tree species able to sequester the carbon dioxide and other pollutants that are available to the environment. That is the best action and that is the best solution that we can do to fight the negative impact of climate change. Thank you.
That's amazing. We are obligated to you for your marvelous presentation and giving us your precious time. This session will be effective for our audience because you shared your intelligible knowledge with us. Dear knowledge seekers, I would love to thank you all from my deep heart for attending today's session. Hopefully, you learned something new and you will implement in your life. Knowledge seekers, you will get free certificate after 2 to 3 days. So please submit attendance form accurately and add your remarks related to this webinar in comment section or attendance form. All members will get free certificate via Drive link and link will share in our official Ask Webinars WhatsApp groups. We hope to see you all again next webinar. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay safe.